So, hi folks, this is Wido from Wido's Astro Forum. Welcome back to the channel, and this is just a one-take video where I'm going to express my opinion about the Celestron Origin Intelligent Home Observatory, or you can also say the first smart telescope to be released by Celestron. Celestron, super established company in the amateur astronomy and astrophotography community. All kinds of great products. They are now releasing their first smart telescope ever in 2024. Everybody's talking about it, so let me give my opinion as well. And in one take. So apologize for my grammar mistakes and everything. I'm from the Netherlands, so hopefully the English I pronounce is acceptable. All right, so I also asked you, my dear followers, what you think about this smart telescope. So I posted this on my community tab and said, hey folks, Celestron just released their first smart telescope on the market. It's going to be the Celestron Origin. What is your first reaction? And I gave you some answering categories. 182 people responded, of which 11% said, finally, a new RASA 6-inch optical design. So the telescope on that Celestron Origin Intelligent Home Observatory, quite a mouthful, will be a RASA 6-inch. And if you know anything about astrophotography, if you joined the astrophotography community maybe for a few years, then you probably know that the RASA 8-inch and also the RASA 11-inch, if I'm correct, they are among the most popular telescopes on the astrophotography market because of their aperture and because of their fast f-ratio. So we will talk about that. 65% of you said, can you repeat that price? $3,999. And of course, those people are mainly, I think, are astro nerds like me. Because if you are an astro nerd like me, you think $4,000, okay, I am going to buy a harmonic drive mount. I am going to buy a nice dedicated equatorial mount with like a 20 kilogram payload capacity. I'm going to buy me a nice auto guider because I can then very accurately track the night sky and do multi-minute exposures. I'm going to buy a nice cooled camera to get low noise, high quality astro pictures. But you know, not everybody is an astro nerd. So I want to talk about that as well. For whom is this telescope actually? Who will buy this? An older camera sensor, the IMX178. Why? 19%. So we're also going to talk about that, but the Celestron Origin, it has a 5-year-old camera sensor inside. So that's a little bit, tiny bit old for this new smart scope. And it's very funny because for me at least, because I have made one of my first review videos about the ASI 178, which had the exact same camera sensor. And if you want to see me failing at doing a review of an astro camera, you can go back 5 years in my YouTube video tab, and then you will find it, or maybe Google it. And anyhow, my main conclusion at the time was it's a great for planetary, it's great for lunar photography, but not so great for deep sky because it produces some amp glow. So I want to talk about that as well. And then 5%, fastest light gathering smart telescope in 2024. I'm all in. So there are people who are very excited about this product. So me being a nerd, I wrote a blog about it. You can read it. I will put a link in the video description below. And the first thing we have to realize is, I think we have to really seriously discuss this on my channel, and that is the fact that fasten your seatbelts, hold on to your seats. Not everybody is an astro nerd. So repeat after me, not everybody is an astro nerd. And of course, we have become accustomed to the steep learning curve of our beautiful hobby astrophotography, in which we will need to learn how to polar align, how to set up your mount, how to, how to auto guide, how to take multi-minute pictures, what kind of gain and offset settings for your camera are best to take that high quality picture, how to post-process all of that using PixInsight, using Surreal, using Photoshop, etc. But it may come as a shock. I think there are also people that are just normal people. Yeah, bear with me. So they're normal people. They don't know anything about astrophotography, but they are interested in the night sky. And maybe they come home after a hard day of work. They sit down for some dinner with friends or family, and then they want to go outside at night and they see, hey, clear sky. I'm going to do some stargazing. And wouldn't it be great to have a device that gives me an advanced stargazing experience? And that's where smart telescopes come in. Because smart telescopes, you just switch them on and they automatically find their position in the night sky. You can download an app and that app connects to that smart telescope. And hopefully this app will be good. We don't know yet. But if it's a good smartphone app for this Celestron Origin telescope, it will give you automatic updates of, hey, what kind of objects are in the night sky tonight? What kind of great galaxies are out there, what kind of nebulae are out there, what kind of star clusters are great to gaze at. It will give you all kinds of suggestions, and all you have to do is click on that object you want to see. You get a lot of information about that object, hopefully. We don't know yet, but that should be the case if you have a 4K telescope. And then this telescope will automatically slew to that object. It will start taking 10-second pictures and it will feed back those pictures to your smartphone. And with every picture will be stacked upon the previous one. So you will get an increased picture, and then again, the 10-second picture, the next one will be stacked onto the previous one. So you will get a better picture. And then if you track that object for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, hopefully you will get a beautiful picture of that night sky object you're interested in gazing at. And that's completely automatic. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to know anything about astrophotography. Friends can join you. They can log into the same telescope using the same Wi-Fi signal. They see the same object. You can even beam it on your television and enjoy an enhanced vision of the night sky with your family and friends. When hopefully this is the case when using the Celestron Origin Intelligent Home Observatory. I keep saying smart telescope, but Celestron calls it the Celestron Origin Intelligent Home Observatory. Right. Okay. So also, I have been sitting on my ass all day. I have been testing different kind of smart telescopes on the astrophotography market. So this is the Dwarf 2 you can see here. This is the C-Star S50. This is the Vaonis Vespera. So there are all kinds of products available on the smart telescope market. And it is super interesting to see what kind of approach Celestron takes. Because companies like ZWO, established astronomy and astrophotography companies, anyway, they released like low-cost telescopes. So for $500, you can buy a C-Star S50 and do much of the same. And this telescope is 3 kilograms. It fits in a backpack. And anyway, look at the reviews. I made one myself. A lot of other folks did. So this is, of course, the other way around. This is not something you buy for your birthday at $500. No, this telescope costs $3,999. So it's more like a double income, no kids kind of telescope. And for that price, I think that's a bold move, because Celestron has to make sure it has the best quality optics, it has the best sensor, it has the best app. This is going to be the best intelligent home observatory you can buy, because otherwise people will flock to those cheaper telescopes. So I think that is actually a bold move, and let's see if it works or not. We don't know yet because nobody tested it yet. Anyway, so let's talk about, I'm talking way too much, I'm sorry about this. So let's get a quick view. The optics are great. It's a RESA 6-inch, and if you know anything about astrophotography, you know that the RESA telescopes, the 8-inch and the 11-inch, they have been super popular among the astrophotography community because of two things. First of all, their big aperture. So this is a 6-inch, so it will have an aperture of 152 millimeters for the Europeans and the rest of the world, or 6 inches when you live in the United States. And I mean, this will be the fastest light gathering telescope, because this telescope has the largest aperture of all telescopes. So if you have a bigger aperture, you can collect more light, and your telescope will more quickly is able to show you that faint object, that faint light from that object more quickly as compared to other smart telescopes that are on the market today. And what makes it even faster is the f2.2 ratio, because the f2.2 versus f4 or f5-ish ratios from other smart telescopes, this will enable you to gather that light about, I would say, 3 to 5 times faster as compared to other smart telescopes on the market. So hopefully, if everything will work correctly, this telescope will be able to create a beautiful stacked image of a celestial object about 3 to 5 times faster as compared to other smart telescopes that are on the market. And I think that's important, because if you're going outside and you do some stargazing, you don't want to spend hours tracking the same object in the night sky as we do as astrophotographers to get a high quality picture we want. No, you're going to maybe spend 10 or 15 minutes on an object, and then you want to see something else. And then you move on to the next object, and then you take another 10 or 15 minute look at that new object, and then you move on to the next object. And for that you need a big aperture and a fast f-ratio telescope, and this is the fastest telescope on the market in 2024 without a doubt. So that's super interesting. Now, as far as the sensor, the 178, that's a 5-year-old Sony Starfish sensor. As I said, I did a review on it, and it's not necessarily a bad sensor, but it's an old sensor. And the biggest issue I had with it is that it cannot really take long exposure pictures. So I took like short exposure pictures of planets and of the moon using the 178, and it was great, it worked fine. But when I took like 60 to 2 minutes, like 60 second to 2 minute long exposure pictures, there was some nasty M glow, like some glow on the top right of the camera sensor that also appeared in your pictures, and it was really nasty. But I think that's not necessarily a problem when you're taking only 10-second pictures, because of course, and that's the next thing, this telescope, maybe this is the field of view, by the way. So this is the Andromeda Galaxy. This is the a picture, or like a representation of the Orion Nebula. This is M51, the Whirlpool Galaxy. So this is the field of view you're going to get with the Origin, the Celestron Origin Intelligent Home Observatory. So great for the Orion Nebula, not so great for the Andromeda Galaxy. This is one of the biggest galaxies you can photograph, the biggest galaxy actually, you can photograph in the night sky. So it will not completely fit this field of view. And then we have here like tiny galaxies like, not so tiny. This is like a galaxy that is 20 million light years away, the Whirlpool Galaxy M51. It will appear a little bit like smallish in your field of view. And I wanted to say this as well, field of view, because we have the Vaonis Vespera, and Vaonis smart telescopes, they have this panorama view. So they can image up to 4 times the native field of view of the camera sensor. So they can actually take like pictures of different parts of the night sky beyond like what the sensor is able to photograph, and then stitch those photos together to create a bigger panorama picture. So I'm really curious if the Celestron Origin will be able to do that as well. So it would be great to have like this if the Orion Nebula fits here, but not the Running Man Nebula. It would be super interesting if this telescope would be taking different pictures of the night sky, or different parts of the night sky, and then integrated into a final picture where you can see the whole object if the object doesn't fit the native field of view. So I hope you get what I'm talking about. And then, of course, those 10-second pictures are, of course, the maximum limit for a smart telescope, because all smart telescopes are mounted on an altitude azimuth mount. And altitude azimuth mounts, they are not aligned with the celestial pole of the Earth. So they are not exactly tracking the object in the night sky, and moreover, of course, because they are not tracking the object in the night sky exactly, they also suffer from field rotation, because when the moon goes up, it's a little bit to the left, right, and then it hits the south, it hits the highest point in the night sky, and then it turns a bit to the right to set in the west. So you see these objects move throughout the night, and if you don't have an equatorial mount but an altitude azimuth mount, you will start to see this rotation happening in the field of view of your telescope when you're tracking that particular object. And I noticed that with all other smart telescopes I tested so far, the maximum is about 1 to 2 hours. 1 to 2 hours, and then you can see some serious field rotation. So actually the picture will still be pretty okay, but towards the edges of your picture you're going to see like nasty elongated stars, and you can see that the pictures, they do not overlap exactly anymore. Some nasty gradients, etc. So 1 to 2 hours is, I think, a bit of the maximum like the maximum time you can spend on an object when using a smart telescope on an LS mount. Anyhow, the Celestron Origin app, as I said, we don't know anything about it, but it has to be the best app created for smart telescopes. And that's a pretty tall order. How do you say that? Like a pretty big thing, because Vaonis Vespera has a Singularity app that works really well. The $500 C-Star S50 has a great functioning app. It's really intuitive. So there are other brands on the market already that have developed a great app for smart telescopes. And now everybody's going to compare those apps to what Celestron Origin has to offer. But they did partner up with Simulation Curriculum, so those people are also the creators of Sky Safari. And that's one of the best intuitive planetariums that has been developed. So I have some confidence that the folks who are developing this app are really capable of delivering on that promise of creating the best smartphone app for smart telescopes. Then the image quality, and they released some images that they look okay, but I was looking at the exposure time here. So here the M81, they spent 3,615 seconds. So that's about an hour, right? So they spend about an hour on, this is like M81 and the Bose Galaxies here. So I hope that I hope that the telescope optics would be faster than that. I think people who are going to stargaze with this thing, they want to see like 10-15. They want to spend 10-15 minutes, like I said, on a target, and then you want to move on to the next target. So the faster that telescope is able to create a nice picture, the better. So I don't know if I see this like 1 hour. Did they really need 1 hour to actually create that picture? Another one here. This worried me a little bit. Eastern Veil Nebula looks pretty nice. But here, 2400 seconds. So that's about 40-45 minutes. It's a bit on the long side. I would say maybe 10-15 minutes. If this would be the picture, I would be super impressed. Now I'm not sure. But anyway, we have to wait and see. And clearly this is just a stacked picture. This is not because I heard somebody, I think it was Quiff the Lazy Geek, who talked about like AI in this technology. Now this is just a stacked picture. There's not much artificial intelligence. Yeah, of course there's an algorithm that aligns and stacks the images on top of each other, but I don't see any like intelligent post-processing here. But maybe I'm wrong. We have to wait and see. Horsehead Nebula looks pretty nice at 900 seconds here. This is what I'm talking about. 900 seconds, that's about 15 minutes, right? If I'm correct. I think 15 minutes. So 10 to 15 minutes is great for observing a target, and then you move on to the next one if you are just stargazing, right? And by the way, the LS mount is like the next star, so that's a proven LS mount, very stable, very sturdy, and Celestron is promising a lot of stuff that may be happening in the future. So you may be able to, or probably this will happen, of course, because otherwise they wouldn't be mentioning it. But you can place a wedge on that next star mount, and you can put an auto guider maybe in the future on this smart telescope, and then you will be able to polar align and track objects precisely in the night sky, enabling a longer exposure photo. So the longer your exposures are, the better the quality of your pictures will be to capture that faint light from an object from deep space. It increases the signal to noise ratio, and And that would be great, but we don't know yet when this is going to be released. And also the camera sensor can be swapped with another and maybe a newer sensor type. But it isn't. So they are promising this for a future point in time. So we have to wait and see if these things like a wedge, auto guiding with this Celestron Origin, swapping the camera sensor, if this will actually come to fruition, if this will actually happen, and what they have to offer then. Can I use like a normal auto guider? Probably not. It will probably be a Celestron auto guider. Can I just put a regular planetary or cooled camera on that Celestron Origin? Probably not. We have to wait and see. Battery life and storage capacity, 6 hours of battery life. That is, of course, great. Some smart telescopes have like 10 to 11 hours battery capacity, so not the best one. Storage capacity, I didn't see anything about storage capacity. So if you're going to take pictures, you can also store those pictures on an SD card, probably. Most smart telescopes have about 64 gigabytes storage cards, and we don't know about the Celestron Origin yet. The Wido Vespera Pro, for instance, that's a new smart telescope coming to the market in 2024. It will boast a 225 gigabytes SD card. So yeah, we will have to wait and see what Celestron will offer here. Now weight and size, that's the Achilles heel, I think, of the telescope, because it weighs about 41 pounds, so about 19 kilos. And that's the heaviest telescope on the smart telescope market for sure. If you compare that to a C-Star, it weighs 3 kilos. A Wido Vespera weighs about 5 kilograms, etc. So it will be 4 to 5 times heavier than other smart telescopes. So that makes it less portable. So it's something you can set up in your backyard. A good thing is that the mount can be the telescope can be detached from the mount, and the camera or the altitude azimuth mount can be separated from the tripod. So there are different components making it a little bit lighter. But all in all, this is not something you're going to take for like a long hike with you and then set it up to do some remote imaging from a location it's difficult to reach. And you can do that with, for instance, Wido Vespera or C-Star S50 or the Dwarf 2, etc. You can put those smart telescopes in your backpack and then you just go. What is really great is you can put 1¼ inch astrophotography filters and 2-inch photography filters in front of the camera sensor to get a great view of some astrophotography objects, especially when you're in an urban or suburban area. It's great to put a light pollution filter in front of it or do some narrow band or dual band imaging. So that's great. So yeah, that's all I have to say, guys. I'm really curious about this smart telescope. Would love to try it out actually and see what this smart it's the Celestron Origin Intelligent Home Observatory. I will link to this blog in the video description below. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I will do my best to answer them. And let's see what this telescope can do for us in 2024. Clear skies.